What's up, guys? Your boy Danny. We are gonna do some boat repair today. Something not a lot of people cover on their channels. So, what we've got is a Jackson Antix 2.0 that I have had repeated problems with the stitching on these back bands breaking. I use my back band a lot, and these have not held up very well. You can see we had to paracord it the other day on Big Creek. And then over here, I was taking a lesson with Kirk Edelman and came loose, and we had to figure out a way to tie it. So yeah, these things just aren't stitched very well and don't hold up very well. So I'm going to replace that with a piece of webbing and do some water knots to tie to these D-rings and hopefully get a lot better situation going on my boat. And here we have my new shred sled, Dagger G-Ride 6.2. So this boat has a lot of stuff going on with it, but what we really want to do is we're going to install some newer Dagger ratcheting back bands and some D-rings and a piece of webbing for that, for the back band. And then we're going to play with these hip pads too, see if we can't loosen these screws here to move the hip pads in, or see what needs to happen there. I'm not entirely sure. The boat fits me really well. It's just this whole thing is a little wonky, and I got no connection here. And as you can see, these don't come off very easily. So I'm really hoping that that's how they work. Here we go. Let's jump in. We're going to take some scissors and just go ahead and get this out of here. We don't want it. We don't need it. We don't like it. Then, let's see here. I need a Phillips head. This will probably be fine. There. I guess we're about to find out. I don't know if there's a nut behind there or not. Feels like there might be. There's definitely something. Let's see here. Do I have to take this whole thing off? Oh, that's not fun. That's not fun at all. Wow, okay. There's no way to just get up in there? There is not. Alright. So we need a wrench. Or a pair of pliers, rather. I'm gonna do these. Gotta get it in that narrow little hole. Be careful with those narrow little holes. Get you in trouble. So you can see here that this bolt is almost out, but it doesn't want to pull out. Let's see if I can show you. I don't think I can really well. Where are you? You can't even see it. It's not all the way, but it doesn't want to pull out. I would suggest just, you know, protecting the plastic and such. It'll screw itself out, but I wouldn't go pulling on it and risk enlarging your hole or cracking the boat or anything like that. All right, so as we can see, take these 3 bolts out. Little buddy just pops right off. Also, if you don't like where your knees are, this is how you adjust where this sits in your boat. You know, so we're gonna play with that too. So now we can see what's holding those on. Just 2 bolts and 2 nuts and some washers. Real quick though, I want to see if the newer outfitting will fit the older boat, because if it does, then we don't have to do any of this crazy stuff. We can just jump right into fiddling, and it looks good to go, man. It really does. front has the holes, there's a rail or a slide in the back and a slide in the middle. So I think we're just gonna try this new stuff. And I mean, you can see that this is kind of hanging funky, but that's nothing a little contact cement can't fix. All right, so for this next part, we're gonna sit in the boat. And we're gonna move this around until we get it where it feels really good and we've got good control. So as you can see, we can move this wherever we want it. I feel like with it right here, my knee is situated nicely. My feet are on the bulkhead, and I feel nice and tight in this boat. So I think right there is going to be the money spot. So what we're going to do is grab this little dude, get him in there, get him started. And the only thing that I noticed that was a little weird about this is that I'm going to have to really push this in to get that rail to be in the spot where it will do its thing. So I've also figured out that a bolt was missing a washer and nut, and it happened to be this one right here in the spot where that screw hole didn't want to line up just right with the new sliding rail system. So before I do anything else, I just so happen to have a couple sitting around. We're gonna throw those in there and get this thing locked up nice. All right, so it really doesn't like it after all. We are gonna have to use our multi-tool. You can't see probably on the camera, maybe you can. Had a little, made us an indentation, so I'm just gonna notch that out a little bit. All of these nuts should have a washer behind them, so I'm not super worried about taking just a little bit off so that screw can do what it needs to do. All right, so I've got a brad tip bit. It's got a little point on the end there, which makes it ideal for making these kinds of holes. So I'm just gonna set it where it looked like that screw wanted to go and get as close to that rail as I possibly think I can and still make a good hole. Very slowly. I don't like it. Okay. It thinks it likes that. I'm not wild about that. Let's see if we can't get a file on it. Well, it's not the prettiest thing ever, but I think it'll get the job done. I'm also going to put a little bit bigger of a washer on it just to be on the safe side. Put those in there. That's the right one. Okay. So I can see my hole. Let's go ahead and drop this guy a little bit so we can see him in there. Oh yeah, that looks like that's gonna work out nicely. Right on target. Now if I want to move these, I'd have to do this process again. But I don't believe that I'm gonna want to move them. And if I gotta do it again, I gotta do it again. Messing with older outfitting can be a real pain. But getting yourself right in your boat, that's money. All right, cool, we're through the plastic. Oh, that's right. This is the tricky part. I got this narrow little hole here to get these things through. There's one. How about lucky number two? It's almost like you want to do them at the same time. Yeah, you do. That sucks. This is fun stuff. But we love to go boating, and we love to play in waves, so it's all relatively worth it. Don't twist on me now. That's not very nice, buddy. Haha, alright. Now we're in business. Act right, buddy. Ah! So close. Oh no. Man. Come on back. Where'd you go? You little devil. It's not very nice. How'd it go? What a bastard. It's going well, guys. It's going super well. Ah, you got traps. Let's not do that again. Okay, we got it on. Holy crap. Alright, so now it gets a little easier. Hold that. Sweet. So now we can proceed with our next two and know that this isn't going to move from where we wanted it to. I'm going to do that real quick, then we'll jump into the next one. Fun fact, you're going to need to take these out if you're doing this particular outfitting. The old ones have this slit in the back so the webbing can go through. These new ones do not. They just come straight out this back side. So we're going to put a D-ring on here and run the webbing around the back side of the hip pads. But to access that screw hole that we were just messing with, you're going to have to remove the ratcheting back. All right, so this front hole here is going to be another problem child. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole. I'm going to use the old hole as my guide and drill into the new outfitting and make a hole. And the front of these has these things going on. But this screw is falling somewhere in between them, or to the side of them, or somewhere. It just doesn't like it. But, I mean, the rest of this thing's on rails. We've got washers on everything, and I'm just going to make a hole. Word to the wise, don't drill anything you don't have to. Start with a smaller bit. If you think you can't tell the difference between which bit you need, try the small one first. Don't put any holes in plastic you don't need to. Also, I know a lot of you are judging me because I'm using Ryobi tools right now. You can shut up. I'm at my dad's workshop. All my tools are in Atlanta. I would be doing this with my DeWalt stuff if I had the ability. So let's go ahead and pop this guy. I'm just going to go very slow. There it is. Okay. So now, I want to be able to keep this guy going. Cool. And we're going to put the nut on that, and then we'll hop in and test it. Let's see if we did good. Oh yeah, dude. That's so much better. Excellent. Excellent. I'm going to throw the other one in here now that you know how to do one. You don't need to see both. And then we will get started on this back band. Alright, so we've got both our thigh straps in, but this just got a little complicated. To mess with these hip pads, it would appear that I'm going to take this center piece out. They're moving freely on these screws, but I can't get the screws to tighten down or lock. I can get up under there and feel that there's a nut on there, but I can't get up under there good enough to get a wrench or a pair of needle nose or anything like that on it. So yeah, I guess we're gonna disconnect. It's got a, let's see if I can show you. It's got this little piece in the front pillar, and it just kind of connects in there. It's got a screw here, and it's got the same thing going on in the back. So, am I right side up? I'm right side up. There we go. Yeah, I guess we're going to take that out, take the seat itself out, get our hips correct, and then put it back in. So what we're doing now is removing all the guts to figure out what's going on underneath this seat. And while that's happening, there's a bolt in the front and the back that are going to require an impact to get out if it's older. They're really not wanting to come by hand. And then there's one in the front pillar, one in the back pillar. There's one underneath where you set where you want the seat to go. But I'm not convinced that needs to come out yet. So we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Let's get this last guy out and then see what we're looking at. Lord only knows, but I find vice grips are really helpful for this, and I've got a really small drill that lets me get into tight places. There you go. Not done like that. Let's see if we can't get it started. Are we set right? We're set right. Okay, well, just having tons of fun over here. Maybe I can do it this way. Can I get it turning? Yes, I can. What about now? Do you like it now? A little better? Nope, you just want to strip it up. Okay, cool. Looks like maybe I can get it without having to drill it at all. A lot of this stuff is so corroded, it doesn't want to go. Alright, that's out. What about now? Do we want to think about it? Are we done being silly? We're not done being silly. Wow, dude. So I've had a couple bolts like this on this boat so far. What I've been doing is grabbing them with a vice grip if I can and kind of loosening them up that way. I think I'm going to throw some WD-40 on this one now and let it sit for a little bit because this is ridiculous. Alright, so, that was fun. I can tell you that the bolts that hold the front and the back are getting replaced tomorrow. Maybe you can see all this stuff is just so heavily corroded and old and didn't want to move and wanted to strip. So, I can put it back together tonight and that's fine. It's just a nut and a bolt and a couple washers that I will go get tomorrow. But we got the seat out so we can play with it. So what's supposed to happen is these bolts here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, control the tension on these rails where you can adjust your hip pads. Now over here, I can move these just fine, no problems, right? I've also kind of noted where and how I sit in the boat since I've got to do this outside the boat. But this one doesn't want to loosen at all. This one's acting like it should. So I'm going to take some pliers and see if I can't get this guy loose, so that I can fit these hip pads, to where they're supposed to be. Then we're going to tighten them all down. Then we're going to put this back in the boat. And then we can finally mess with our back band. Let's see what's going on here. They got these little black washers. There's a technical term for them, I'm sure. I just don't know it. I'm a beater. Don't you guys go expecting too much. Let's see if we can't get you to straighten up, fly right. No, not that way. Just spinning. No matter what we do, huh? Let's try our trusty vice grips. These are rubber, so we can grip them a bit. A little more. A little more. That looks like we can kind of get it. Needs a little bit more. That way we can clamp that. No, that's a little too much. That ought to be money. Alright, let's see here. No? There we go. Just needed to loosen up. Now, I'm probably going to throw some kind of adhesive in here to see if I can just make it where I don't ever have to do this again. But before we do all that, I believe we've got it loose enough. We know the other guy works. So far, I've used 3 different drills, 2 different vice grips, small and large, needle nose pliers, 2 clamps, all kinds of screwdrivers and drill bits. This is a little bit more complicated than I was thinking it was going to be, but that's okay, because it's going to be awesome. And we take this boat down to Columbus and have some fun. All right, now, about like that. Is this one loose enough? There we go. Now, I like to be pretty tight in my boat. Not so tight that I can't get out, but tight enough that I can throw it where I want it, when I want it. All right, I think that's about it. I just want to check this guy real quick. Oh, is he doing the same thing? Or is he just in as far as he goes? Oh, that feels good. Feels very good. I will say too, well here, let me tighten these back down first. And then we'll go over that. Oh, looks like that one's stuck loose. That's why that was so easy to move. Alright, I'll deal with him in a minute. So these hip pads on the back side of them, they all have, oh yeah, that's all that needed was just to break loose. Now it's acting right. Love that. That's great. That's awesome too. Was this guy spinning or was he acting right? We got a spinner. That's all right. We know what to do with that. Where the little guy's at? Just gonna crank down on this dude like so. And the back one I'm not even going to mess with. We're just going to go ahead and crank it. Don't want to have to do this again. Oh yeah, it's just old. That's all that is. And to be honest, probably all this hardware, like the screws and bolts and washers, all of it could stand to be replaced, but try to be as minimal as possible. Dead center, I believe. That's fine. We can mess with that once back in the boat. So, what I may have to do here, so it's got this strap on the back and this piece of foam. I've just moved these hip pads a good deal in from where they were from the previous owner. So, probably gonna have to figure out if I want to shim these out to the edge of the boat or not. And if I do, it's not a big deal. You just contact cement some foam together and you're there. I think the idea there was so that they couldn't flex too much. But I don't know. I might get in the boat and decide that I kind of like it where it's at. I'm going to have to put it on the water and see before I do that. All right, let's put this thing back in. All right, so we've got hip pads. They feel pretty good. I think that when I lock these in by threading the webbing for the back band through it, it's got to tighten these up just how I want them. If not, I can add that foam we were talking about on the back side to kind of pad it out and make it tight to the walls. Our thigh hooks are in. They feel great. Bulkhead feels awesome. Our seat position feels awesome. And now we are finally going to get to put the webbing for our new back band in. Let's go. All right, campers. So our bulkhead's good. Our thigh braces are good. Our hip pads are good. Our seat's good. All of our innards are back in place where they're supposed to be. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take these D-rings and we are going to use some paracord to tie them to the holes in these ratchets. Then we're going to take some webbing and run a band through these guys. So we'll start the D-rings here on the ratchet, and it'll come through these slots on the hip pads. Then it will come through these slots on the back of the back band, and then around through the same things, thereby fixing the webbing to the ratchets so that we can use the ratchets to tighten up the back band. Let's get started. All right, guys. So the way that we're gonna affix these D-rings is with a figure 8 on a bite. I'm about to show you how to tie that knot, but this is what it's gonna look like when we're done. We're gonna have a D-ring that the webbing can go through on a bite of paracord, sealed with a figure 8. Now, I've heated up my paracord so that it cannot possibly break this knot. You can pull on as hard as you want. It ain't going nowhere. So that's awesome. At least I think it's awesome. We'll see. So let me teach you how to tie this knot. So the standard premise of a figure 8 on a bite, right, is you grab yourself a bite of rope, like so, right? We got 2 pieces. You're going to fold it over itself, like this. And we're going to come back through the knot, or come back to the hole. And that creates our figure 8. You dress it by pulling it up, tightening these little guys. But now you can see we've got this big loop, and we've got a knot in the rope. So what we're going to do is make that knot go around this ratchet strap right here. And in doing so, I will have 2 places that I can anchor webbing, and I'm going to use a water knot to tie my webbing together so that I can ratchet this back band. Another trick with this stuff, when you're using paracord, keep a lighter handy. They make some really neat, like, burning knife things that'll do this stuff, but, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This has always worked just fine for me. Burn all your ends so that the paracord, it's got an inner layer and an outer layer, and the outer layer likes to come off the inner layer, so if you burn it, it doesn't do that. I also do that with my knot. Just kind of heat up the outside of the whole figure 8 knot, and then where the 2 pieces join, which you'll see in a second, I want, when I fuse those 2 together, by burning the outer layers together, I want it to be bigger than the hole that it could go through, giving it just one more layer of being failure proof. This is about dry. Yeah, okay, we're good to go. So, let's get you guys down on my level. All right, so what we want to do here, keep this ladder handy. We're going to feed it through first. We're going to put our D-ring on. Then we're going to feed it back through. It's important that you feed it the same route that you fed it before. See, we're going to make that bite that we were looking at earlier. I'm just going to give it a couple inches. I just don't want it to be super close to the hip pads is my goal in this. So then we go and we take it over. Or wait, no. I'm about to tell y'all wrong. Take it over. Take it back through. Then we dress our knot. Which I'm not liking right now. There we go, I like that better. Did I do that right? I don't think I did that right. Let's try that again. Got our bites. I don't know if y'all knew this, but I am not the world's best dude at knots. Come over, go around, then back through. That's what I was missing. There we are. That is correct. That's what we're after. Alright, so now you really want to put some some work in addressing this knot and getting it nice and tight before we start. Trying to make it bulletproof. So we'll take our scissors. I'm just leaving like the tiniest bit, like maybe a ½ an inch. First thing I'm gonna do, you can see here, it's got that little white inner core. We don't like that. So we're gonna take it, we're gonna fix that real quick. See if I can get them to stick together. That would be the ideal thing. There we go. See how they fuse together? It's awesome. That means it's not going anywhere. Kind of balls up and mushrooms out, which for me is a pro. I like that, because if we dress this knot really tight, and then we do the same thing to everything else, means that this should hold up under pressure. And as aforementioned, I put a lot of pressure on my back bands. That is a thing that I do. There's a million ways you could accomplish the same thing. This is just the one that I liked. That feels pretty good to me. I don't feel like that's going anywhere. Yeah, no, I think we're good to go on that one. I don't know if I could get a little bit more of that, I'd feel better about it. Okay, so next we're going to cut our webbing. We're going to use the same lighter trick. There's probably better ways to do it, but this doesn't have to be the fanciest thing in the world. Just has to work. All right, so we have all of our stuff in place. It's taking some time to get here. Thank you so much, Dagger, for your old outfitting being so awesome to play with. What we're gonna do, our knot's gonna end, doesn't really matter which side, but because we know where it's gonna end, probably want to start it so late. I can't brain. I start it over here and thread back through. This is just regular old 1-inch tubular webbing I got from the NOC. I give it more than I think I need. Also, I think it would behoove us to go ahead and get the ratchets all the way out. This one's being kind of funky. That'll work. All right, so we go through the D-ring. We're gonna go in this guy, in this guy, all right, pull that through. Right and tight, love it. And we're gonna take the other end and do the same thing as we're going. Now you could do this a different way. I just really want to use a water knot. Oh man, lame. Means all of that has to twist. Which means this has to come out. Fun stuff. So there's a pro tip. Make sure whichever way you're going, you keep up with it. All right, that is correct. This side goes out. Get out of there. Stop that. All right, I like that. So now we'll go through the other one. Probably be easier to do it like this, huh? See, I love Jackson's outfitting for its simplicity. I just wish it would hold up better. All right, so that brings us to this part. The actual back band. Do I want to do that backwards? Next, when I ratchet it, I want it to pull in. Be tight on the hips. Okay, yeah, we're good. I think. If not, we'll reverse it. It's an experimental process. Seen things like this done. Never done them myself. But in theory, this should all work. Get that one out. Okay, we're going to do the bottom one first. It's a learning curve here. Not going to lie to you. Hey now, play nice. Whoa, what are we doing? Y'all calm down. Alright, gets us there. Like what I got there. And obviously before you tie this off, you're probably going to want to sit in the boat. See what it's doing, see what it feels like to you. Been kind of having to check my work the whole time I've been going. Also found out I probably get to do some welding. Whoever originally had this boat cut a bunch of slits in the cockpit. And you can tell it wasn't done in the factory because it's not done very well. I'll show you all that in a second. Luckily, old Dagger plastic ought to be easy enough to come by. So I'm thinking I want to leave about that much slack in it. You want to be able to tighten it up. That was the whole point of this. All right, so now come through the front side. Tricky little devils. There we go. There again, I think leaving about yay much. That looks pretty good to me. Gives us plenty to ratchet. Then we'll come through the back side here. All right. Sweet. And I was really hoping it would pull this ratchet in a little bit, but that can't really be helped because the hip pads need to live where they need to live. And these don't have a slit in the back. I guess you can make one if you really wanted to, which I might. So let's look at what we got here. We've got our figure 8 on a bite here with our D-ring, our webbing, 1-inch tubular, double aired, going through the hip pads, going through the back band, going through the hip pads again. I've left about this much for the ratchet. And then we're going to tie this off into a water knot around our other D-ring. Stay tuned, here we go. All right, so to finish this up, we're going to use a water knot. Some of you will recognize this knot if you've taken Swiftwater Rescue. It's the same knot that you use for your webbing when you're setting an anchor. So it's an overhand knot with a follow through. So we're going to start, I don't want to do this. I guess we'll start by going to the D-ring. Stop that. So then we will come through and around and out. Speaking of Swiftwater Rescue, this was going to be my pen kit webbing, but then I bought a boat. All right, so we've got this overhand knot here, right? Make sure everything's the way we want it. I think it is. All right, now we are going to do a follow with the other side of this webbing. So we're gonna say that we do this. It's a little tricky in close quarters. Come here. There you go. Oh, that has to go under that. Okay. Bear with me. I have not had to do this in just quite this way yet. There we are. So then we just follow the route of our previous knot. And the better you follow it, the easier it's going to be to dress it. So try to keep it looking nice and tight. That brings us back to our D-ring. Right, and then we go under our other two. And there you have it. Now we're going to dress it. Now I don't want to leave a whole lot of slack in this other part. Which is going to be the trick. So that's where I want it to be, kind of. Well, it's not exactly what I wanted, but that just means this one will ratchet a little more forward than the other, which is fine. It's just an aesthetic thing. Really want to dress this knot. Get it as tight as you can. And I think we're there. Sweet, love that. All right, so we're gonna do the same trick here that we did with the paracord. Our trusty gas station lighter. gonna leave you about 3 inches of this stuff. When you cut it, make sure you get it good, because we do not want this stuff unraveling while we're playing. That looks pretty good to me. Ow. There we go. That's one. Now, is this the prettiest outfitting in the world? Probably not. But I think it's going to be effective. And to give an old boat new life and get a play boat on the cheap and get back to practicing my play tricks, you know, you can't really lose. Sweet. I think that'll about do that. And maybe a little more. Yeah, that looks good. It is hot. It will burn you. But I really want to make sure this stuff's fused together and not going to fail on me. Okay, so moment of truth. Let's see what we got. You will notice that it's a new day and that I'm at Home Depot. So I got the webbing on last night and put it up to tension. It feels great in terms of what it's doing in the boat. Feels exactly how I want it. But the D-rings that I got failed. So I was hoping they would work, so they're kind of a small profile. I had some bigger ones. They didn't really like it either. So we've got 300-pound working load D-rings. A little more intrusive, but you shouldn't feel them, I don't think. But that's a 600-pound working load capacity. So we're gonna go throw those on and see if that works any better. Other than that, I'm super happy with it. It feels awesome. Bailey says, you can do it. Isn't that right, Bay? Isn't it right, buddy? So yeah, as you can see here, everything else worked, but the other D-ring snapped clean off. So we're gonna make some new figure 8 on a bite loops, and we're gonna put these other rings on, and then we're gonna try this again. All right, ladies and gents, we are sitting in the boat. These welded aluminum rings worked out perfectly. We already had our webbing that we knew we liked. I'm nice and tight in this thing. These thigh braces feel awesome. And as you can see, I've got the ability to contort myself all over the place and be just fine in this thing. All my knots look like they're holding very well. I'm very happy. So I hope this has been helpful. If you've got a boat that you don't like the outfitting in, you can do something about it. Side note, there is a group on Facebook. I will add some text over this to, I can't remember the exact name of it right now, but it's people posting old whitewater boat outfitting. So if you don't have what you need, you can probably find it. And if you can't find it, get something pretty close and you can probably make it. So I hope you guys found this helpful. I'm really stoked to get this thing on the water and see what it can do. See you next time.